Hi friends, welcome back to the Enchanted Stay, where fantasy books and stray kids live in perfect chaotic harmony, just like they should. Today I'm reviewing Song of the Shieldmaiden by Ashley Hagood, an indie historical fantasy and the first book in the Daughters of Valhalla series. If you love Viking settings, Norse mythology, sisterhood, slow burn romance, and rebellion stories, this book will probably already be on your radar. As someone from Iceland who actively seeks out Norse-inspired fantasy, I was really curious to see how this one would land for me. This will be a spoiler-free review, and I'll break it down into a quick plot summary, characters, world building, tropes and archetypes, and my final thoughts, rating, and who I think this book is best for. So grab a sword and your light stick and let's go. Song of the Shieldmaiden takes place in the Viking village of Kaldvík, where the ruling Jarl Töve is violently overthrown by a brutal warlord named Ulrich. After their father is killed and their home seized, his three daughters Svanhild, Haldis and Brynja are left navigating survival under a tyrant who now controls their people. Svanhild, the eldest, dreams of becoming a Shieldmaiden like her mother, but instead of freedom she's forced into a political engagement with Andor, Ulrich's son, as a way to secure loyalty from the village. Haldis, the middle sister, is a reluctant seer plagued by visions she doesn't fully understand. And Brynja, the youngest, is trying desperately to hold what little family remains together. As winter turns towards spring, the sisters must decide whether to kneel to their father's killer or risk everything in rebellion. The story is told through 3 POVs, one for each sister. I really appreciated that the sisters felt distinct. Svanhild is driven, stubborn, and determined. But for me, she often felt inconsistent and emotionally immature. Some of her choices, especially romantically, felt a little out of character. Haldis was one of my favorites. Her internal struggle with prophecy, faith, and doubt added depth and tension to the story. Brynja, the youngest, represents innocence and emotional grounding, though her arc is quieter in this book. That said, I did question whether 3 POVs were necessary here. I honestly think the story could have been told just as effectively, maybe even more powerfully, through a single POV, especially since the plot itself is fairly contained. Jarl Töve and Helga, the parents, are portrayed as wise, compassionate leaders, a stark contrast to what comes after. Ulrich, the antagonist, is a fairly straightforward brute. He's ruthless, power-hungry, and oppressive. Andor, Ulrich's son, is the most morally complex male character. He respected the old Jarl and clearly disagrees with his father's methods, which makes the forced marriage trope more compelling. This is where the book truly shines. The setting is a classic Scandinavian Viking village, with clear inspiration from Norse culture, Ásatru, and rituals like blood. The aesthetic, atmosphere, and cultural framework felt familiar and grounded, and as someone from Iceland, I could very easily picture Kaldvík and its surroundings. The world building is vivid and immersive, though I will say it leans more toward telling than showing. I often felt like I was being guided very directly through what to think or feel, rather than being allowed to interpret events on my own. That's not inherently bad, it just depends on what kind of reading experience you enjoy. This book leans heavily into classic fantasy and romance tropes, including Viking or Norse-inspired historical fantasy, sisterhood as emotional core, forced marriage, enemies to lovers, very slow burn, rebellion against a tyrant, Shieldmaiden in training, and Seer with unwanted visions. These tropes are familiar and accessible. For me though, the story felt predictable, and the tension never quite escalated to where I expected it to go, especially given how much build-up there is. The ending in particular felt anticlimactic, mostly because so much of the book is spent laying groundwork rather than delivering payoff. Overall, I describe Song of the Shieldmaiden as a book with a strong concept and atmosphere, but an execution that didn't fully land for me. What worked for me was the Norse-inspired setting and lore, clear cultural grounding, distinct sister dynamics, and accessible writing style. What didn't work as much for me was too much telling and not enough showing. Predictable plot progression, Svanhild's inconsistent characterization, romance elements that felt rushed or out of place, and an ending that lacked payoff. The cover. I'll be honest, the cover didn't really work for me. It feels a bit unpolished. And while that's often the case for indie books, I do think that cover design matters a lot for historical fantasy. This one just feels like it's missing something. I gave Song of the Shieldmaiden 3.5 out of 5 stars. At this point, I'm unsure if I'll continue the series, though I can absolutely see other readers loving it more than I did. You'll likely enjoy this book if you love Viking aesthetics and Norse-inspired fantasy, prefer straightforward, accessible storytelling, enjoy slow burn romance without heavy spice, and like stories centered on sisterhood and resilience, and if you don't mind predictability and strong author guidance. If you prefer complex character psychology or morally gray storytelling, this one may feel a little bit flat for you. Let me know in the comments if you've read this book. I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially if you continue the series. And if you want more writing craft, indie book reviews, Stray Kids, or romantasy chaos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay chaotic, stay magical, stay.